Good morning everyone. Today we'll discuss about very common complaint that most of us have, sleeplessness, or it's called medically insomnia. Sleeplessness or insomnia. So we'll discuss about this topic today. So when do we call there is a sleep problem? When someone for a long time, let's say a duration of minimum of 1 month, having disturbed sleep, and they feel that the sleep is not enough for them to kind of do their daily activities on waking up, usually we consider it as a sleep problem. So the way we look at sleep problem psychologically is slightly different from the way a lay person's perspective. So sometimes it can be just not having enough sleep or sleeplessness alone as a complaint. We call it primary kind of a problem. Primary as in like the main complaint is only sleeplessness. So, but most of the times the sleeplessness can happen with a lot of other secondary conditions, physical physical conditions, like when you have any diagnosed conditions like breathlessness or asthma, where the kind of medicines that you take sometimes might happen where the sleeplessness can be a side effect, or it can actually interfere in getting a deep sleep. So what I meant to say is that we are looking at sleep from two categories. One as primary, where only the complaint is sleeplessness, and the other sleeplessness is because of the other secondary causes, which we will look into it little later, a little more detailed, what are the different conditions and the causes. So if we look at a general way of looking at what an insomnia is like, some people have problem in getting sleep when they lie on the bed. It is the getting the sleep more than 30 minutes if they are lying on the bed, and if they are not able to get sleep, that is one kind. Some people might get the sleep, but half the way, in the after one third night, or frequently they keep waking up in the middle of the night, where they are unable to maintain that sleep. That is the second kind of category. And the third one is where they wake up early in the morning, like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., and then they are unable to get back to the sleep. So these are the general ways how we look at the sleeplessness. So looking at the different causes, what are the different causes? Like we have we have divided them into primary causes as well as secondary causes. So first we will look at the secondary causes, because most of the sleeplessness complaints are because of the secondary problems. The major category of sleeplessness complaints are from the secondary problems. So hence we spend a little time on understanding these causes or factors affecting these secondary sleeplessness problem. So the very important aspect is some of them are whenever they are not getting sleep, the easiest solution is taking the sleeping pill. So sometimes it can be prescribed, sometimes it is self-administered, but the important point to notice here is the sleeping pills, even though if they are prescribed for a particular reason, prescribed by a qualified professional, so they might be effective for 2 weeks, and then slowly the person may have to take an increased dose of the pills, because the body also develops a resistance to this amount that they are taking to get a sleep, and then over a period it can actually become counterproductive, and then it can start affecting your deep sleep. So sleep medicine or the sleeping pills is only a temporary solution, but in the long run they themselves can be one of the reason for not getting a deep restful sleep. So this is the point to be noted, as most of them are inclined towards taking a sleeping pill when they are not getting a sleep. So looking at other various causes, like I said, the physical conditions, like one has breathing problems, or one has any other physical conditions like asthma, where because of which as a side effect also there can be a sleep disturbance. And sometimes drugs like used for asthma, where they might actually make the person more active, and then they start interfering with the deep sleep. So that's about the physical conditions. And there are other reasons, where the important reason being the poor sleeping habits. These poor sleeping habits, especially where if you look at the current lifestyle, where everything is available in the bedroom or around bedroom, like eating, working, playing, doing work, everything is around the bed. So the sleep becomes a cue for all these activities, and then not for sleeping. So which can be an interference with getting a sound sleep. So in some of the other conditions where the sleep, if let us say that if you are a person with a very busy schedule of the day, and then the first getting onto the bed is the only relaxing time where you can reflect back on your work, where some of them might start reflecting the work, and then they start planning for the next day, and then if they are stressful about something, they might start worrying about. So the sleep cues are being disturbed here, where the bed becomes a cue for more worry or anxiety rather than a cue for sleep. So the bad habits of getting a sound sleep. So we'll look at how to work on these kind of sleep habits a little bit later when we look at the management. And there are other conditions where the sleep can be a kind of a problem, where a kind of stress. So the stress and the emotional disturbance is one other factor, where otherwise the person gets a good sleep, but then because of the stress or the emotional disturbance, there can be a disturbed sleep pattern. For most of them, the sleep is not really something that the number of hours of sleep is not the factor when it comes to insomnia or sleeplessness. People think that if I sleep for 6 hours or 7 hours, that means I have had enough sleep. But what is more important is the quality of the sleep, your ability to sleep in a sound manner without getting any awakening during the sleep. So some people might even sleep 2.5 hours, and then morning they are perfectly fine, and the research also supports this. Their sleep needs are different. In fact, each person's sleep needs are different. So some people might require sleep for 7 to 8 hours, still they complain that they didn't have a kind of restful sleep. So what is more important is how adequate is the sleep, how sound is the sleep, is more important than the number of hours of sleep. So coming back to this also gives an important aspect, where what the sleep functions are about. So mainly the sleep has the main functions of rejuvenating the body, that is bringing back your energy levels of it after a kind of day's work. That is one thing. Rejuvenation or regulation of the body temperature is one other function, and most important is the endocrine functioning. So endocrine functioning is much better in people who have a sound sleep or a better sleep rather than having a poor quality of sleep. So thermoregulation is the function, and taking rest, rejuvenation is the function, and proper endocrine system functioning, all these are the functions of the sleep. So whatever the condition that interferes with this can be a direct cause for sleeplessness. So looking at some of them, we have covered the stress, and we have covered the physical illness, and sometimes some of them might get some sleep disturbance in terms of sudden waking from a deep sleep. We call sleep apnea. So this is a condition where for 30 seconds they go breathless and then they suddenly wake up from the bed, and it keeps happening during the day, during the night sleep, and then they end up getting up distressed and disturbed of not having a sleep. That is one condition. The second condition is nocturnal myoclonus, where they might get some muscle twitching in the legs, where it can be painful, and then they keep waking up in the middle of the sleep. These are some of the usual causes that there might be a sleeplessness as a problem. So, and not the least but very important point is the watching TV, and like I said in the previous time behind that, the watching TV in the bed and the doing work and eating, everything happening on the sleep is also one of the important poor sleeping habit that one need to work through. Otherwise, if they are sleeping in their sleeping couch or in the sofa, they might get a good sleep. But usually people who are engaging in different activities in their bed might actually may not get enough or good sleep in their own bed. So that's one thing. And then the other point is a rewarding point, where when someone is complaining of a sleeplessness, usually there is attention given immediately to the family members, which can itself be a secondary gain or a rewarding thing, where it can be used as a point where the person might actually reinforce the sleeplessness as a way of getting attention. So these are some of the common reasons that we look at when it comes to insomnia. Okay, so these are all the general reasons, but looking at the psychological sleeplessness, or the psychological conditions that lead to sleeplessness, which is the main topic of our the main content of our topic. Here we usually look at it as an emotional disturbance or psychiatric conditions like depression and mood disorders, where there can be sleeping issues. So let us look at very briefly about the different kinds of psychological conditions where there can be a sleep disturbance, mainly the emotional disturbance leading to sleeplessness. So non-organic insomnia. So when I say non-organic, it is not related to any physical or medical issues, it is purely an emotional thing. So where I said because of the psychological issues like depression, sleeplessness can be one complaint in non-organic insomnia. Here the person has difficulty in falling asleep, in maintaining the sleep in the night, and also in they wake up early, so there is inadequate sleep. So if it happens more than a month generally, and more than 3 times a week, generally we look at it as non-organic insomnia. So which can happen in varied psychological conditions, neurotic conditions and organic conditions. like in substance abuse, which we are looking at from a different way of dealing, but purely looking at psychological, mainly the mood disorders and the depression, all these conditions can give rise to, can be the reason for this non-organic insomnia. The second variety is non-organic hypersomnia. As the name says hyper, here the person is disturbed by increased sleepiness, sudden sleep attacks in the morning time, um, which does not really as a reason for not having adequate sleep in the night, but this happens mainly in the daytime upon awakening, where which is disturbing in their daily activity, which can again happen because of the psychological conditions in a condition called bipolar affective disorder with depression. Here mainly recurrent depressive disorder. These are some of the medical psychiatric conditions where there can be hypersomnia mainly in the daytime. So the third variety is of sleep-wake, disturbance in the sleep-wake schedule. See, based on the person's functioning or the family functioning, each person has a norm. Some might sleep by 9 p.m., some might sleep by 12 p.m. and get up late. So, when there is a kind of disharmony between the sleep-wake schedule that is considered as healthy and sleep-wake schedule that is followed by a particular family or community, when there is a disharmony, it can become a kind of a condition where there is a disturbance in the sleep-wake schedule. People who are working in shift system, people who are working with different time zones and all that will usually have this kind of disturbance in their sleep-wake schedule. That is the third variety. Looking at sleepwalking, so which is well projected in media, somnambulism, by medically it is called as, where it is the person is not fully aware, but then the person is still in sleepy condition, where usually after the 1/3 part of the night sleep, they get up from the bed and then they start doing the walk. Mostly they restrict to their room. Sometimes, very rarely, they might open the door and walk out, but when gently a family member guides them back to the bed, they might actually go back to the sleep with no recollection in the morning about the episode. So this is somnambulism or sleepwalking. So the other condition is sleep terrors or night terrors, where this is one of the severe disturbed condition where the person suddenly wakes up in the night panicking, as if with a scream or as if they are stuck with something very terrible, and then they start running towards the door as an escape. Any person, family member trying to influence them by reassuring them might only aggravate the situation, because the person is disoriented, meaning that they are not aware, they are not fully conscious, and then it can only make the situation worse. So generally these conditions can happen with when there are any situations like we need to look at the other conditions like brain tumor or epilepsy. These are some of the conditions where it can happen. Generally this lasts for 1 to 10 minutes, and then the person might completely have no recollection of the episode. These are the night terrors or sleep terrors. Nightmares. There is another condition called nightmares, generally where they are experiencing in a dream kind of situation, but these are the dreams that are very unpleasant, with anxiety, loaded with anxiety and fear. Usually they are associated with stress related to survival or some threat that the person is going through. And upon awakening in the morning, they fully recollect the details of these kind of nightmares, and we need to work through this underlying reasons. Not but not the least, is sleep talking. It's called somniloquy, which is usually seen in children, where they talk something not understanding, generally related to something that they feel a little stressful. If it is just a sleep talk with no other sleep terrors, generally over a period of time it can be resolved on its own. It doesn't require any special treatment. So, but if it is associated with sleep terrors or nightmares, we need to give notice to that. These are some of the psychological conditions where uh, there can be an underlying emotional disturbance. So, looking at the management. So, when we come to the management, it's important that the person who is going through giving the details, we call them sleep logs, where the person has to note in a specific way what time they are getting onto the sleep, how much time it takes for them to get into a sleep, or are there sleep awakenings in the middle, or when they get up in the morning, is it a restful sleep, how much they feel that they had a nice rejuvenating sleep. So a record is maintained where can be as a way of planning their sleep treatment. So that is one thing. And the second thing is, if it is a child where the parent literally sits in at the bedtime or with the child and then looks at how much time it takes for the child to go into sleep, or if it can be a spouse or a family member can also assist them. So here the main goal in the management is mainly to get a good sleep, adequate sleep, and decrease the amount of time required when they go to sleep. So that is the main aim here when we do the treatment for the sleep problem. And then looking at some of the behavior therapy techniques, relaxation training is one important technique, behavior therapy technique. So what happens when someone is not having a restful sleep is mainly because they are unable to relax. Their system is so active and aroused that they are unable to sleep. So relaxation training is one which can help in relaxing the muscles and help them to have a restful sleep. And the other important lifestyle modification is the meditation. So in meditation, there is regularization of sleep by decreasing the sweat gland activity, and then the heart rate and respiratory rate slows down, which will be sleep promoters. And the main aspects in the management is the stimulus control instructions. Like we were discussing a little earlier, people who are getting into these habits of doing different activities at the bed or around the bed, by watching TV or reading books or eating, or all the activities both related to the mental activities as well as work related activities, can itself be a habit. The person might be having this habit for a long time, but at some point this can become like a kind of connected factors for sleeplessness. So it's important that here one need to look at some sleep hygiene tips that can help them where they can work through this poor sleeping habits. So when you are working through these hygiene habits, go to the bed only when you are sleepy, first point, and use the bed only for sleep. If at all you are unable to get sleep, get up from the bed and go to another room, and then only when you are sleepy come back to your bed. It can happen like say you are lying down on the bed for 10 minutes, you are not getting sleep, please get up from the bed and immediately move on to the next room. This can continue as long as your bed becomes a cue for you to get sleep. So setting an alarm is another way. So getting up at the regular time in the morning is very important for regularizing the sleep cycle. So irrespective of whether you are getting a sound sleep or not, set an alarm and get up automatically by next day. There is a rhythm set in your system where you might get a natural sleep. So, and people especially having sleep problems, the important point to notice is not to take afternoon naps. That's one thing. And there are some dietary kind of sleep promoting diets. Milk and milk products, curd and milk products can be more sleep promoting. And avoid foods that keep you kind of stimulants like caffeine related, coffee, tea, cola, these kind of stuff. Avoid drinking during the bedtime. And these are some of the tips that one can follow as a general sleep hygiene. And if you feel that the sleeplessness is a major problem affecting your daily routine, and if it is associated with some psychological disturbance, it's important that you look for a professional help. Thank you.